One of the biggest questions I had when I was starting out modeling and acting wasn't, can I perform? I always love the camera and feel like I'm at home. The real question was, will I still get booked if I showed up with my natural hair or even braids or any other protective style? In this industry, looks do matter. I knew my talent was there, but I couldn't ignore that one quiet thought. Will these braids or curls or even protective styles cost me an opportunity? This is not about insecurity. It's about who I am. The reality is, in this business, that will make judgment. That's not insecurity about who I am. That's reality in a business that makes snap judgments. There's always been that unspoken standard. The sleek, polished, straight hair equals professional. Natural curls and braids and different protective hairstyles sometimes labeled as casual or too urban or even unruly. Those words really do stick. And for me, the question wasn't if I was good enough. It was in the industry, was it ready for me? Was it ready to accept me, who I am? That's a very different kind of weight. A little shift came when I started working with Rastafri Braid as a model and content creator. And suddenly I wasn't asked to change my look. I was celebrated for it. I remember my first campaign wearing the Malibu Afro Kinky, and that was a hit and people loved it. And I traveled to brand events and it was embraced. On those sets, surrounded by other ambassadors, we weren't covering up our natural beauty. We were showcasing it. That's when I realized my hair wasn't limiting me. It was helping me into spaces I might not have entered in otherwise. Even on TikTok Shop, it shows. When I go live with lots of different hairstyles, especially braids and different curly do's, people ask me about my style. They comment on how I look and how it looks on camera, and it becomes a natural bridge into a conversation. That engagement isn't forced. It flows because it is authentic. The more I leaned into my natural look, the more confident I felt, especially as a woman. And confidence reads. Brands notice and the audience will feel it. And opportunities will expand when you're not apologizing for who you are. Confidence isn't about pretending that those standards don't exist, because those standards do exist to some people. It's about showing up anyway and proving you belong. You deserve a seat at the table. And let me say this, representation does matter. Every time I showed up naturally and showed up who I was with braids and different natural hairstyles, I thought about my younger self, the younger version of me, who didn't always see this on the magazines and in covers. And now in 2025, oh my goodness, especially with social media, I see it everywhere. That visibility says you belong here. And it's not just personal, it builds a community that people can trust and feel secure about. And that is powerful. If you are building confidence with your natural look, here are 3 things that helped me. Frame your look as your signature. It might be an afro, it might be braids, it might be protective styles, it might be straight. Document your styles and story because it is a part of your brand. And remember, every time you show up, you're not just representing yourself, you're expanding the visions to others. So yes, looks do matter in this industry. But my curls, my braids, my protective styles, they haven't closed doors. They're beginning to open it even more. I remember my first shoot at 11 years old. I was so excited. It was my first professional photo shoot and it was in New York City. And I'm a Jersey girl, so this was huge for me. And I remember it was for a really big brand. And they told my mom I had to take out my braids. I had braids in just like this. They said, no braids, no braids. We have to straighten their hair. And I thought, wow, no braids. We just got this in like last week. These are fresh. Why don't they like them? It was in style at that time. Well, braids are always in style, but at that time it was really big. This was in the late 90s. So my mom had to take out the hair, go to New York, get a professional hairstylist to do my hair. And guess what happened? They put a perm in and it ended up taking out my hair a couple of weeks later. But at that time, it was like, they told my mom, it has to be straight. That's more likable for what this campaign was about. But that made me feel super insecure at that time because I was just only 11 years old and I didn't really know too much about the industry. But my first experience wasn't really a great one. I felt insecure about my skin, my hair, and everything about who I really was. And it took years and years and years until I was able to embrace my hair, my skin, and even at that time, my curves. I was pretty curvy for an 11 years old. But you have to really find that peace and find that confidence within yourself. And don't let the industry label you and say that you're not good enough, you don't look good enough. Provide your own seat at the table. If this resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more. I've got more on confidence, representation, and thriving as a creator. And remember, always, your natural self is already camera ready. The world just needs you to show up. You got this.